The first hearing of Gonzalez versus Google is today. What's your stance? I already talked about my stance. It was a very real problem YouTube had, but the solution Gonzalez is proposing, which pokes holes in Section 230, is an absolute nuclear disaster for the internet. How'd the hearing go? I didn't know that started today. Let's take a peek. There's a Resub Omni. Takeaways from today's oral arguments in Gonzalez versus Google and how it could reshape the internet. Here we go. Supreme Court appears broadly concerned Tuesday about the potential unintended consequences of allowing websites to be sued for their automatic recommendations of user content, highlighting the challenges facing attorneys that want to hold Google accountable for suggesting YouTube videos created by terrorist groups. For nearly 3 hours, the 9 justices peppered attorneys representing Google, the U.S. government, and the family of Nohemi Gonzalez, an American student killed in a 2015 ISIS attack in Paris, with questions about how the court could design a ruling that exposes harmful content recommendations to liability while still protecting innocuous ones. How or if the court draws that line could have significant implications for the way websites choose to rank, display, and promote content to their users as they seek to avoid a litigation minefield. I'm glad they at least recognized the potential danger of just completely fucking the system as it is. As for the solution, I still think it's just going to be a moderation solution. The attorneys for the Gonzalez family argued that narrowing Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, the federal law protecting websites' right to moderate their platforms as they see fit, would not lead to sweeping consequences for the internet, but both court liberals and conservatives worried about the impact of such a decision on everything from pilaf recipes from Uzbekistan to individual users of YouTube, Twitter, and other social media platforms. Justices are worried about a wave of lawsuits and disruption to the internet. A big concern of the justices seemed to be the wave of lawsuits that could happen if the court rules against Google. Lawsuits will be non-stop, Justice Brett Kavanaugh said at one point. This is surprising to read. Regardless of the political spectrum, both sides can agree that this is an overwhelmingly dangerous thing for the entirety of the internet. That's reassuring to read. There's the resub Arc, Abby, Tile, Ricky, and Electrum. AI would definitely mess up at some point for ads. Well, it's not an ads thing. The argument is what happened, YouTube recommended ISIS recruitment videos. It radicalized people. It led to a terror attack. That's the problem. Now, what is the solution? Gonzalez is arguing that they need to narrow the Section 230 protections that would hold YouTube accountable for those recommendations. And everyone can see why that would be a problem. Because that would reshape the entirety of the internet. If the platforms are going to be held liable for recommendations like that, it would change everything. Thanks a resub Simu and the Prime Random. But Eric Schnapper, what a name, representing the plaintiffs, argued a ruling for Gonzalez would not have far-reaching effects because even if websites could face new liability as a result of the ruling, most suits would likely be thrown out. I love that word, likely. The implications are limited, Schnapper said, because the kind of circumstances in which a recommendation would be actionable are limited, but they're not. They're not at all. Later, Justice Elena Kagan warned that narrowing Section 230 could lead to a wave of lawsuits, even if many of them would eventually be thrown out. In line of questioning with U.S. Deputy Solicitor General Malcolm Stewart, "You're creating a world of lawsuits," Kagan said. "Really, anytime you have content, you also have these presentational and prioritization choices that can be subject to a suit." Chief Justice John Roberts mused that under a narrowed version of Section 230, terrorism-related cases might only be a small share of a much wider range of future lawsuits against websites alleging antitrust violations, discrimination, defamation, and infliction of emotional distress, just to name a few. I am shocked reading this. I thought this would 100% tug on that fear that a lot of old people have of the internet, because it did lead to a legitimate terror attack. The YouTube recommendations of the ISIS videos led to a terror attack. I thought they would throw common sense out of the window, but it seems like they're still somehow keeping their wits about them here, recognizing all of the implications. That is shocking. That is actually shocking. Thanks to the resub, Hippie, Kintai, Chris, Shadow, and the Tier 1 Colby. And the resub, Snitch. No, it's not decided yet, but this is the first hearing, and they actually seem to know their shit. So, that's at least somewhat reassuring. Thanks for the gift sub, Jervin, and the resub, Charlie. Yeah, it would affect everything on the internet, Kachow. It's not, like, even in CNN's article, for God's sakes, they are talking about how it would reshape the internet, should it be ruled in Gonzalez's favor over Google. It'd have consequences for everything. Yeah. Google has lawyers worth more than... True. I guess the Google lawyers must have really explained it super well. Because, yeah, it is shocking what I'm reading here. Like, they actually do understand it. Which I feel like is never the case with anything tech-related, so... Yeah, it must have been explained to them super well. Thanks, resub Scully. And yeah, I have seen Legal Eagle's video on it. It was very good. Did you see Bungie's lawsuit update? I did not. Which one? They're suing like 9 different people. Destiny developer Bungie wins their $4.3 million anti-cheating lawsuit. So this was against one of the cheat companies. It's Aim Junkies too. That's the one that was taking shots at MoistCr1tikal, right? I'm pretty sure that was Aim Junkies. Right? The resub, Coop and Pirate. Yeah, it was. I thought so. They had a goddamn clown running their emails. They'd keep sending like the cringiest shit to MoistCr1tikal, like talking shit for no reason. Last August, Aim Junkie's parent company, Phoenix Digital Group, released an aggressive statement against Bungie that read in part, Bungie and their counsel apparently believe the more shit you throw at a wall, the greater the possibility of something sticking with the court, no matter how ridiculous or absurd it is in the real world. At the time, the company said its features should be officially implemented into Destiny 2. As of November, it seemed the legal battle was starting to lean in Bungie's favor. They make cheats. Like, they just straight up make cheats. Nice. Following this legal victory, Bungie has filed another similar suit against Lavi Cheats for $6.7 million. Wow. Goddamn. Thanks to Risa Bing in blue. The Prime Draketh. It stuck to the wall. This shit did stick to the wall, it seems. Rest in peace, Aim Junkies. Thanks, Resub Joy Boy. Why in the fuck do they care so much? Who, Aim Junkies or Bungie? I mean, I think it's great. I always think it's a good thing when a company, like a game company, comes out against cheaters. Like, I think that is always just a net positive thing for the game. Obviously. I don't know how you, like, think that it's bad. Now, if we're talking about modding, that's always bad if the company goes against modders, because it's a single-player game, you're modding for single-player, who gives a fuck? But like in an actual multiplayer game, nah, you gotta strike that shit down. You've got to slap that shit down. Otherwise, you end up with a situation like fucking Warzone where everyone's cheating and it's miserable for everyone who's not cheating. Thanks, Resub, kidding. Switch ruined Monster Hunter Rise. It could have been so much more. Alright, man, I mean... I guess you'll get no argument from me. How much money do you think they lose when people stop playing because of cheaters? Hope this becomes common practice. Fuck the cheaters. I mean, I have no way of knowing how much money they lose. I think it's not a small amount. Like, a lot of people straight up quit games if they can't actually play without getting, like, aimbotted or have cheaters. Fuck them. Like, 100%. It takes a huge toll on player count. If you let the cheaters go unencumbered, it ruins you, like, the normal people, so you get less players. Like, that's just straight up. That's a good point, Duncan. Apex had a huge problem with cheaters early on. You couldn't play a game without running into a cheater.